The Yacht Girl. The Yacht Girl storyline. The Yacht Girl storyline. This is quite hot.
Wasn't there some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time? There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s. How about the other
so
prince?
You gotta go to again.
How about the other prince, the one that's Epstein's friend?
Meghan Markle as previously having been a, quote, yacht girl. There have been more revelations going viral from the past.
Meghan Markle, have you noticed how she never talks about her Spanish exchange time that she supposedly was in Spain for 6 months as an exchange student in 2002, and yet nothing. This is a woman who likes to brag about everything.
There are people you can pressure. Tabloids respond to legal threats. Royal correspondents play ball for access. PR firms know how to manage a narrative quietly. But there is one voice that doesn't answer to any of that, doesn't care about titles, doesn't fear lawyers, doesn't negotiate with publicists. And right now, that voice is asking questions about Meghan Markle that her entire machine has no answer for. Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast on earth.
The Center View on Twitter tweets, former CIA covert operations officer Mike Baker, full disclosure, I do think Harry is a wanker. Joe Rogan, well, he seems to be. It's like, I guess he has, look at his body language, the body language of a wanker. They also discuss Meghan Markle's days as a yacht girl. And of course, this is all allegedly, as some person says that I'm going to talk about him in a while.
Number 1 on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube simultaneously. The first time any podcaster has ever done that. Roughly 200 million listeners across platforms every single month. When Joe starts circling a story, there is no off switch, no kill shot, no quiet backroom deal that makes him stop. And in January 2026, he started circling Meghan's past in a way her team reportedly never saw coming.
Why do you think Meghan Markle hasn't sued anyone in regard to her yacht girl and porn videos exposés? You need to know who you're going to sue before you decide you're going to sue someone.
He wasn't making accusations. That's the thing people miss. He was asking questions. Very specific, very uncomfortable questions about yachts, elite circles, and alleged connections to one of the most disgraced figures in modern royal history. And once those questions started spreading through his audience, the conversation took on a life of its own. But here's what you need to understand first. This moment didn't come out of nowhere.
How about the other
so
prince?
You gotta go to again.
How about the other prince, the one that's Epstein's friend?
Oh, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
What?
Yeah.
First of all, how odd is that guy when they're interviewing him and talking to him?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
The Queen kicked him to the curb.
The collision between Joe Rogan and Meghan Markle has been building for years. Go back to 2020. Joe Rogan called Meghan a little American hussy who had manipulated Prince Harry into abandoning his family and his country. Harsh, unfiltered, and broadcast to tens of millions of people. Her team said nothing publicly. The smart play, engaging Rogan, only makes him bigger. Then 2022 arrived, and that's when things got genuinely interesting.
Meghan Markle finally being exposed as an alleged yacht girl by a dude called John Lefevre. Now, if I've mispronounced his last name, I do apologise. But here's the post on X that's reignited the rumours of Megsy allegedly being a yacht girl back in the day, okay?
Meghan launched her Spotify podcast, Archetypes. In August of that year, it briefly knocked Joe Rogan off the #1 spot. Influencers, who reportedly attend ultra-private parties, hosted by extremely wealthy men on luxury yachts across Monaco, Dubai, the south of France. Reports suggest appearance fees allegedly range anywhere from $20,000 to $100,000 just to attend. No confirmed financial
Now here's where
records,
Meghan's story
no
gets
official
interesting.
bookings,
From
just
2011
claims.
to 2017, she's on Suits, making maybe $50,000 per episode. That's roughly $450,000 a year before taxes and agent fees. Decent money, but this is Los Angeles. Yet scroll through her Instagram from 2014 to 2016 and she's living like she's making millions. Constant international trips, Ibiza, Turkey, Italy, Malta, 5-star hotels, designer clothes everywhere, Givenchy, Burberry, Dior, flying business class constantly. The math doesn't work.
But it was January 2023 that really set the tone for everything. But those claims have circulated in entertainment gossip circles for years, and they keep attaching themselves to very specific names. Meghan Markle's name has been one of them. Online threads allege her rumored involvement goes back to at least 2014. Some voices online push it further, claiming as far back as 2001. None of this is proven. But here's what makes it stick. The alleged timeline lines up with a financial gap in her public story that nobody has been able to fully explain. And that gap is what critics keep coming back to. From 2011 to 2017, Meghan Markle starred in Suits. Reports consistently placed her salary at roughly $50,000 per episode. That works out to approximately $450,000 a year, before taxes, before agent fees, before the cost of living in Los Angeles. Decent money by most standards. Genuinely impressive by normal standards. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Scroll through her Instagram from 2014 to 2016 and something doesn't fit. Constant international travel. Turkey, Italy, the French Riviera, Ibiza, 5-star hotels, designer wardrobes, Givenchy, Burberry, Dior, business class flights everywhere constantly. A lifestyle that looks less like a working actress and more like someone with generational wealth or a very powerful sponsor. The math simply doesn't work. After taxes and fees, a mid-level cable actress in Los Angeles is not casually living this life on residuals alone. Fans have offered explanations, brand partnerships, gifted items, wealthy friends who covered costs. Maybe, critics say prove it. Because despite years of online scrutiny, nobody has produced a single verified brand deal from that specific period that accounts for the scale of what was being displayed. And that silence, that gap, is precisely where the rumors live. If you want to understand how Meghan Markle went from a mid-tier cable actress in Toronto to the woman who married into the British royal family, there is one building, one private members club, and one man you need to understand first. Soho House is not your average networking spot. It's an exclusive global chain of private clubs where entertainment executives, tech billionaires, media power players, and carefully selected cultural figures mix behind closed doors. Membership is by invitation only, and the man who controlled those invitations, at least in the cities that mattered, was Markus Anderson. He started as a waiter at Soho House London, worked his way to global membership director. His job when a new location opened was to identify the most influential, most desirable, most connected people in that city and personally invite them to founding events. He didn't just open doors. He decided which doors existed. Online threads claim Meghan and Anderson met in Toronto, and insiders say what followed was years of travel together, events together, appearances together, photo after photo in the same rooms at the same elite gatherings. He reportedly introduced her to power circles she could not have accessed alone. And then, in July 2016, through what was publicly described as a mutual friend connected to Soho House, Meghan Markle met Prince Harry. Critics call that too convenient. Supporters say that's just how elite networks function. But here's the detail that nobody noticed at the time. Anderson has consistently hidden his face in photos with Meghan, reportedly using a heart emoji to obscure himself in at least one widely shared image. A man comfortable at the center of power, deliberately staying invisible. That choice tells you something. In February 2026, something happened that reignited every online theory about elite social circles and the people who move through them. Prince Andrew, now stripped of his royal titles by King Charles, evicted from his royal residence, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The charge related to his long-documented connections to Jeffrey Epstein, the same Jeffrey Epstein whose private social network had, for years, been described as a hidden web, connecting some of the most powerful people on the planet. Online threads immediately began linking Meghan Markle to the edges of this story. Some posts circulated a photo claiming to show her with a woman connected to Epstein's circle. Snopes investigated it in February 2026 and found the identification was wrong. The woman in the photo was not who the posts claimed. The claim was debunked. That matters, and it's important to be clear about it. But here's why the rumors have refused to die even after the debunking. The social overlaps are real, even if the specific claims aren't proven. Soho House, the club at the center of Meghan's elite rise, reportedly had Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein among its prominent members. That is not an accusation. That is a reported fact about who held memberships. What conclusions, if any, people draw from that overlap is their own business. But the questions being asked online aren't going away, because the circles themselves were real, documented, and in many cases now deeply scrutinized. Here's what the mainstream coverage keeps leaving out of the story. While the yacht video controversy was exploding online, something else was quietly happening in the background, and it paints a very different picture of where Meghan Markle actually stands right now. Her Netflix lifestyle show, With Love, Meghan, ranked 1,016th globally in viewership for the second half of 2025. Over 60% below Season 1 numbers. Netflix did not renew the production deal. Instead, the Sussexes were quietly downgraded to a much smaller first-look arrangement, the streaming equivalent of being moved to a corner table. Her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, was abandoned entirely in late 2024 after a trademark failure. It was rebranded as Ever, a name that insiders reportedly received with visible indifference. Before that, Spotify dropped the Archetypes podcast deal after a single season. Reports suggest the platform paid tens of millions for content that failed to build a sustainable audience. Netflix insiders, according to some reports, privately referred to her Christmas special as the closing credits of her entertainment chapter. That phrase has since spread widely. And here is why all of this matters in the context of the video controversy. When a public image is built on a specific story, the self-made, authentic, values-driven narrative, and that story starts showing cracks from multiple directions simultaneously, everything becomes scrutinized differently. The video didn't happen in a vacuum. It landed at the exact moment the rest of the brand was already under pressure. Step back from the noise for a moment. Because there are actually two separate conversations happening simultaneously online right now, and they keep getting collapsed into one. The first conversation is about the video, what it shows, what it doesn't show, what it proves, what it doesn't. Critics say it confirms a narrative they always believed. Supporters say it's being deliberately misread. Both sides are loud, neither has the full picture, and the legal team's aggressive response has made it impossible to simply assess the footage calmly. The second conversation is bigger and stranger. It's about the gap between the story someone tells about themselves and the fuller, messier, more complicated truth that tends to surface over time. Critics argue that Meghan's entire public narrative, the self-made actress, the humanitarian, the authentic outsider who disrupted a broken institution, was always a carefully constructed image. That the wealth she displayed before Harry had unexplained sources. That the connections she used to climb were more strategic than she has ever publicly acknowledged. Supporters fire back that ambition and networking are not crimes. That using connections is not the same as exploiting people. That no life story should be rewritten by a blurry clip and a comment thread. Both of those things can be true at the same time. But one line keeps spreading everywhere right now, and it's the one that's hardest to argue with. The internet never forgets. Legal teams can slow a story. They can suppress a clip for days, maybe weeks. They can issue statements, file notices, flood platforms with takedown requests. But they cannot erase what millions of people have already seen, shared, and screenshotted. And in 2026, that reality, not any specific piece of footage, might be the most dangerous thing of all for someone whose entire power rests on controlling how their story is told.